Hello, everyone, and welcome to the In Progress podcast. If you're new here, my name is Jaden, and I am so happy that you're here. And if you're returning, it's so nice to have you back. Today, we're diving into something that I think a lot of us need to talk about more openly and can kind of be a hot topic, and that's the idea that Christians need therapy too. Yeah, I know. Because somewhere along the way, many of us picked up this message, whether it was directly taught to us or it was just implied that if you're a person of faith, you should have it all together, or that prayer alone should fix everything, and that if you're struggling with anxiety or depression or emotional pain or just trying to figure your life out, all you really need to do and all you really need to have is more quiet time and some good old-fashioned perseverance. And look, I'm never going to minimize the power of prayer. I believe in it with my whole entire heart, but I also believe that therapy, emotional healing, and mental health tools are not in competition with faith. Rather, they actually work together. I believe that God designed us as whole people, body, soul, mind, and spirit, and when one part is hurting, we're allowed to take care of it. So today, I want to talk about why therapy is not something to be ashamed of, and why needing support doesn't make your faith weak, and also how as believers, we can hold a space for both supernatural healing and the practical day-by-day work of becoming whole. So everything that we have is God-given. Every single part of us. Our bodies, our minds, and even the little quirks that make us who we are, and our personality and all that jazz. That makes us who we are. We were each created with intention. And one thing I feel like we don't talk about enough is that our emotions are a part of that design too. I'm a really emotional person, like really emotional, and anyone who knows me can vouch for that, honestly. I feel things big, and for a long time I thought that maybe that was something I needed to tone down or manage better. And sure, emotional regulation is really important, and that's a big part of dealing with emotions, and it helps us function and respond well in different situations, but that doesn't mean that we should suppress our feelings or act like they're not even there at all. God gave us those emotions for a reason. They're part of how we experience life and how we experience Him. There's joy, grief, sadness, anger. All of these things are not flaws, and I feel like sometimes when we feel them so heavily, it can be seen as a flaw, or when we don't feel them as heavily as others think we should, that can also be seen as a flaw. But they're not. They're tools. They're signposts. They remind us that we're alive and we're human. And I believe that they help us connect even deeper with God and with others. Now, what does that balance look like? I think it's different for everyone. Some people are more naturally even keeled, whereas others, kind of like me, are a little bit more passion forward, let's say that. And that's okay. The key is to validate what we feel and to give other people the space to do the same. Because when we do that, we're not just becoming emotionally healthy or emotionally intelligent. We're actually reflecting something sacred about the way that we were created. If you've ever been to therapy, or even just scrolled through like a mental health content page online, you've probably come across the infamous emotion wheel. Honestly, it kind of reminds me of that like color wheel that we all used back in elementary school art class with the primary colors, the secondary colors, and tertiary colors. That's a hard word to say. But there's red, blue, and yellow in the middle. Then outside of that ring, then there's green, orange, and purple. And then outside that ring, there's like the red, orange, the red, blue, I don't know. You know what I mean? That wheel. That's what I'm talking about. But instead of red, blue, yellow, the center of this wheel starts with basic emotions. Things like afraid, angry, disgusted, sad, happy, surprised. Honestly, each wheel is different, has different emotions, but let's say that those are the basic emotions. Then you move outward on the wheel. Those core feelings break down into more specific ones. Like under sad, you might see the words lonely, vulnerable, or hurt. And then those split even further, so vulnerable might branch into fragile or shaky. So you went into this session and you're feeling really sad, but that's all you feel, and you know that there's so much more. So that allows you to put into more words what you're feeling and to kind of identify those feelings. It's honestly wild how detailed that wheel gets. But the thing is, that tool can be super helpful, especially for people who aren't used to expressing their emotions, or even for people who feel them all at once and just need help figuring out where to start. Naming what you're feeling doesn't fix the problem, but it does help you understand what's going on, and it does make it clear how to deal with it and what to do next. I also feel like stigma around therapy in the church, I feel like it's starting to fade now, but it's still there. If I had $1 for every time I heard, you don't need to talk about it, just pray about it, I'd probably be able to pay for everyone's therapy sessions for like a year. And the thing is, that is a hard one to navigate, because on one hand, yes, absolutely, pray about it. I will never tell someone not to bring their struggles to God. Prayer is powerful and it matters, but so does talking about it. So does processing it. So does getting help when you need it. What gets really damaging is when there's no balance. When someone is hurting or confused or struggling in a relationship and all they're told to do is to go pray and just hope it works out, you're not dealing with it. If you're in a relationship and you're arguing with the person, and rather than saying, hey, you really hurt me when you did this, how can we move forward? How can we avoid this? Whatever. That's a conversation that you have with somebody. But if you have that argument, then you go and pray about it, and then you never talk to the other person. You never humble yourself. You don't ask God. You ask God to soften your heart, but to what? Because you're not going to talk to them. You need to have both. You need to communicate with the other person, or you need to communicate to yourself, or you need to come to this understanding while incorporating prayer. God will help you see that. I've talked to people who were raised in that mindset, and honestly, a lot of them carry this deep resentment towards the church now, not because prayer didn't work, but because their pain was not acknowledged. Real issues were not addressed, and there wasn't space for honesty or healing conversations. Just, a pat on the back, a spiritual band-aid. That doesn't fix it. And I want to be really careful how I say this, because I believe that God fully answers prayers. He heals, He restores, and He steps into our mess and meets us exactly where we are. But that doesn't mean we don't have a role to play. Healing takes prayer, yes, but it also takes action. It takes intention. Sometimes it takes a counselor. Sometimes it takes really hard conversations. Faith and effort are not opposites. They are meant to work together. I heard this visual once, and it really stuck with me. So imagine you're praying to catch a bus, but you're doing it from your couch. Or maybe you're strolling towards the stop, barely even moving. You can pray all you want, but let's be honest, you're not catching that bus. Now, let's flip the script. You are praying to catch that bus, but this time, you are running. You're doing everything you can. You're sprinting, you're flagging it down, you're calling out, and maybe you catch it, maybe you don't. But either way, you've done your part, and God is still good. Maybe you weren't meant to catch that bus after all, but at least you know that you tried. There's a huge difference between sitting back and asking God to fix everything for you, and then actually doing your part and putting the work in while trusting Him with the outcome. And that's what therapy is. That's what having a hard conversation is. That's what learning emotional tools and breaking bad habits and getting advice and bringing it to God looks like. It's holy work. Your mind, your mental, your emotional health, that is all part of your body, and your body is a temple that God gave you to steward. So if you're struggling or even trying to grow, there's absolutely nothing unholy or wrong with seeking help. I'd say it's one of the holiest things you can do, seeking help, seeking counsel, and learning how to move forward in life. Another visual, guys. I'm sorry, but I need another one. Let's say you have a goal to lose 10 pounds, but instead of moving your body or making better food choices, you're laying in bed, crushing chocolate bars, and then wondering why God isn't answering your prayer when you ask Him to bless your food. That's not how it works either. It's putting in the effort, being consistent, and inviting God into the process. It's saying, God, give me the strength to wake up tomorrow and move my body that you've given me that I can move. Thank you, God, that is such a blessing. Help me to rest when I need it. Give me the wisdom about how to fuel myself. Bring the right resources and the people into my life to help me make better choices. Teach me accountability. That's what it looks like to pray and put the effort in and not give up. And one thing about healing that doesn't get talked about enough is that it's demanding. It takes effort and it takes time. It's not linear. You will have setbacks, probably more than you expect. And that doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong. It just means that you're human. Your journey might not look like someone else's, and that's okay. Healing is not a one-size-fits-all. Just because someone else is taking bigger steps or seems to be moving faster doesn't mean that you're not heading in the right direction. Your path is your path, and God is still walking with you. So as we close out today's episode, I just want to remind you, healing is not easy, and it's definitely not quick, but it is worth it. It's a journey that takes prayer, effort, community, patience, and a whole lot of grace, especially for yourself. Don't be discouraged if you're not where you thought you'd be yet. Don't compare your steps to someone else's. God is working in your life in ways that you may not even see yet. And your responsibility is not to have it all figured out. It's just to keep showing up, to keep trying, to pray, and to act. Bring your emotions to God. Be honest and be real. And if you need help, whether that's therapy, mentorship, or just someone to talk to, don't let shame hold you back. Seeking help is not a sign of weak faith. It's a sign of wisdom and strength. You were not meant to do this alone. And the beauty is, you are not alone. God is with you. And He's given you people, tools, and resources to walk this journey with. So take the next step, whatever it looks like. And know that you're seen, you're loved, and you are not too far gone. And if you need any resources or any help, please feel free to reach out to me. I would be so happy to help you get connected somewhere. I am so grateful that you spent this time with me today, wherever you are. If this episode spoke to you at all, please hit subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And don't forget to follow the In Progress podcast on Instagram. I'll be sharing updates and sneak peeks into the next episodes. I'd love to hear from you, whether it's what you're walking through, what encouraged you today, or a topic that you want me to talk about on here. My DMs are always open. You're a part of this space, and your voice matters. I'll talk to you soon. I love you so much. Bye.